Hello, I'm Victoria. Welcome to my channel. So, if you did not see my videos from last year, I am participating in a competition called Battle of the Booktubers. This was created by Danny from Danny Dabbles, and the championship round is actually going to be starting here in a couple of days. My first video from it will be next Saturday, and today I just wanted to do something a little bit extra. So Danny made a video, I think it was last year, it's been a long time, but she made a video giving her recommendations, like 4 recommendations to each of the 16 contestants that participated in the original 4 rounds, and so I wanted to try reading them. Initially I was thinking I would read all 4, but I decided to go with 2, like how I do in the other videos connected to the competition, like from the competition. The main reason why I did that is because I had actually already read one of the books that she recommended, and then the other one I was interested in, but it was the only one of the 3 that didn't have an audiobook, and so I had it saved like on my Libby to check out like the ebook later on. But for this I was just keeping things nice and simple for me so I could make sure I actually got things done. So the 4 books that she recommended me are Kings of the Wild, The Mask of Mirrors, The Tainted Cup, and Starter Villain. Now the one that I had read already is Kings of the Wild, and I really enjoyed that. I really liked the humor in it, and it was just a really fun time. It was an interesting blend of like just being fun while also being like really actiony and stuff, and I don't think I had really seen one like that. So it was a good pick for me. Like, I did really like that book. I think I probably put her at a disadvantage with that, with the fact that most of the other people that participated in Battle of the Booktubers, they really use Goodreads a lot, whereas I use Storygraph, and I also don't read my books, but I think on Storygraph it's like harder to track what other people have read. It doesn't show up as easily, I think. I could be wrong about that, but I have a harder time with it. So the one that I am not going to be reading right now is Starter Villain. I don't know anything about that. I had looked it up when I first got the recommendations, but let me see. So it's about inheriting your uncle's supervillain business. Yeah, it sounds funny too. So I think that those 2 are like kind of on the more humorous side, and then these other 2 are more like epic world building style. Well, I don't even know if epic world building is the right way to word it, but so The Mask of Mirrors and The Tainted Cup are the 2 books that I'm going to be reading. The Mask of Mirrors sounds right up my alley. I'm making this video post having read the books, so I know a little bit more than like I'm letting into this, but The Mask of Mirrors sounded like a good choice for me. And then The Tainted Cup I had heard about, but I knew that it was a mystery, like it's a fantasy mystery, and so I was, you know, kind of nervous about that because I don't really have too much interest, or at least I haven't had too much interest in mystery stuff. And then I had tried a fantasy mystery book before that I was not a huge fan of. Like, there was aspects I liked, but the mystery aspect of it, I wasn't sure if it was working for me. So I was willing to try this, but I was kind of nervous about it, you know? But like I said, like, everyone's loving this book, so I was definitely down to give it a shot. And actually, the first book that I'm going to be reading in today's vlog is going to be The Tainted Cup. So let's just go ahead and get started, and I will check in with you guys in a little while. I am 37% of the way into The Tainted Cup. I'm listening to the audiobook, and I'm really enjoying it. I was really weary with it being so mystery focused, like I knew that going in and stuff, so I was a little bit nervous because it's not necessarily like a genre that I really reach for, but I feel like the author has done a really good job at like pulling me into the world. There's good world building, but it's like in certain ways. Like, there's definitely a lot of questions I still have regarding the world, so it's not like they've explained everything. So I wouldn't say it's like the most super in-depth detailed world building that I've read, but I don't think that's like a bad thing, especially with it being a murder mystery. I feel like it makes sense that there'll be some stuff that, you know, you're just learning as you go and everything. And I really like the characters that I've met so far. Our main character, Dinios, I am really fascinated by him. I think he's like super smart, and the magic system, the way he can like memorize everything that he sees, like that's how his memory works, is it's just absorbing everything and then associating to smells. That's really cool. And I've also never read a character that was dyslexic before, so that was really surprising to me. So he's the assistant to this investigator, and she, I guess, tries to limit her senses sometimes, and so wears a blindfold a lot of the time so that way she's not overstimulated. And she also doesn't leave her house hardly ever for that same reason. And so he goes out and does like kind of the initial look over of things with his like crazy memory, and then comes back and like reports, and then she kind of solves things from there. But typically in the past they've just done like fraud, if I remember correctly, and then now we're dealing with this death where this guy kind of like spontaneously had trees grow out of him, had this tree grow out of him. It's a really interesting initial setup to me, and like what they're doing with that. But I don't want to go too into that with the whole fact that it is a mystery and stuff. Pretty much like all aspects of the little bit that we've gotten of the world building, I have found really fascinating. And there's these like walls around is it the country? Like they don't have like full typical society setups. Like it's a little bit different than usual, but I guess it's like cities. And then it sounds like there's these monsters out in the ocean on the other side of the walls that kind of remind me of Titans, like from Attack on Titans. They're supposed to be like huge, and just that with the wall set up really reminded me of that. But I don't think that they're like humanoid. I think that they're like sea creatures, what it sounds like. It's just fascinating. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to reading more, and I'll check in with you guys in a little while. Okay. So I had, you could call it bad luck, but I kind of just failed at my job, I guess. I lost a couple of my clips that I made, like my video clips, and I think that it was just, I transferred things wrong, like failed to transfer things from my camera to my computer, and then probably deleted them because they're not on my camera, they're not on my computer, phone, anything like that. So a couple of the clips, like 2 out of 4 of the clips that I lost are about the Tainted Cup. So I finished the Tainted Cup. I really enjoyed it. I'm so honestly surprised. It's been a while, so my memory is a little bit shaky, but yeah, huge shocker. Like such a mystery focused book, like even with it being a fantasy setting, it's really not the most fantasy of a story in like the way that it affects like the characters and like what we see them doing and stuff, because this is like detective story first and foremost, you know. And actually I had been talking to Leandra from Leandra the TBR Zero, and she had like mentioned about it being a Sherlock Holmes inspired, like I don't know about story, but like the dynamic between the 2 main characters and stuff. And I'm so not a mystery person that it didn't even click. I'm sure if I had been like trying to think about it, I could have figured that out on my own, because like Sherlock Holmes, like even I know, you know, who that is, and like the dynamic between him and Watson and stuff. But yeah, so that was just really funny to me that it didn't even register in my mind that that was a thing until she told me. But yeah, I had a really great time with this. I really like the main characters and like their different quirks, and also their relationship and like how they interact and like how they kind of get comfortable with each other, I guess. I found that really nice just to see. And then the mystery aspect of it, I actually enjoyed all right. Like I wouldn't say I was like hooked, like I have to know who did this or whatever, you know, but I was intrigued, and like things stayed entertaining and mysterious and stuff for me. But honestly, more than the mystery storyline, the characters and then also the world building are what like really made me enjoy the story. We don't really get to see a ton of the world building, but the bits that we do are so interesting to me that I really just want to know more. And since I did make this clip so late, I can tell you guys I have actually also read A Drop of Corruption, so definitely ended up winning with this recommendation. Like, I'm just very surprised. And like, I can remember there's like aspects of the world, but also the characters that leave me with like a lot of questions where I was like really excited to pick up the next book, you know? So yeah, it was a really great time. And I really like the author's writing style as well. Just everything really solid. As for rating, I am going to give this a 4.5, and the only reason that I would say it's not a 5-star is, well, I guess maybe two things. One is the major focus on the mystery aspect thing. While I was able to enjoy it, it's still not going to be like a favorite thing of mine, but that's okay. And then the other thing is, I feel like I didn't quite get to know the characters to the level that I need for it to be like new favorite book, 5 stars, you know? Like, we did get to know the characters and I really like them, but there's just, you know, there's levels to it. And yeah, so I think I would have needed like a little bit more character-wise too in order for it to be a 5-star book. But yeah, it was still super solid. I had a great time, loved it, and obviously continued on to read the second book, so it was a great time. Now I'm going to be getting into The Mask of Mirrors, and I will check in with you guys in a little while. Okay, so I am like a third of the way through listening to the audiobook for The Mask of Mirrors, and Danny, you have great taste. I love this book so much. I really, really hope that I stay loving it for the rest of the book, because I really think that this is like a new, like, all-time favorite at this point. Goodness. So first I want to say, when I was reading this, I had told Danny that I was reading it because I wasn't sure before if I was even going to do like a host vlog, you know, but I started picking this up and I told her, I was like, you know, this writing style reminds me a little bit of City of Brass's writing style. Not saying anything about like the books themselves are similar, but like just the feeling I get from the writing reminded me of each other. And she didn't see it, but I just feel like both authors do a great job at like world building, and like the way they world build kind of feels similar to me. I just can envision it so well. And the world in this book just feels so exciting to me. So we're following this mean girl, Ren, and her sister, not biological, like just, they were in like one of those gangs where like there's like a leader who's basically providing safety for kids in exchange for them like stealing and stuff for them, you know? But they end up escaping that and going to make a better life for themselves, and they were working as servants for this rich lady, and they find out about the lady's family back in her home country, and so they take some things that would validate their identity and then go to where the sister lives, and the plan is for Ren to play the role of a noble and be like, hey, I'm your long lost niece, you know? And then the story goes from there. And the different perspectives that we get, we follow 3 or 4, possibly more, I'm trying to remember at this point. They create the world. Like they just have such different things going on that when you follow them, it just creates a bigger picture, and it makes the city that they live in just feel alive to me. And then you have like city politics and stuff going on, and we have like a noble family like struggling to maintain things financially, and then we have like a criminal who was like wealthy trying to like enter true society, I guess, and like make a empire in that way, I guess you could say. And there's like this vigilante guy called the Rook, and then we also follow this city guard character, and I just think it was so well done. So like sometimes when you have multiple perspectives, I struggle with feeling like, what did this additional perspective like add to the story besides just like their feelings on something? Like what happened, like what were they doing and contributing that we didn't see from this other side and stuff. And that is not an issue in this book. Everybody has like their own lives, and so like each time you see something from another person, you're just getting to learn more and more. And I just yeah, it's been a little bit since I read the book, since like I stopped, and I got distracted with stuff because I'm always all over the place before making this clip. So I have been eagerly waiting for me to do this so that way I can keep going on with the story, and I just can't wait to get back to it. But yeah, so that's all I have to say for now, and I will check in around the 2/3 mark. Hey everybody, looking kind of rough, running some errands today, and I just reached kind of like a stopping point. I'm waiting to pick up my sister-in-law from work, and hopefully, I don't think you can tell where I'm at, but I just wanted to check in because I'm 2/3 of the way through The Mask of Mirrors, and I want to keep reading it, so I have to do this check-in. I love this book so much. I am just so floored by how I'm feeling about this book. The writing is just it's beautiful, but not flowery at all. So before I had talked about feeling like there's a similarity between the writing style in this compared to The City of Brass, the series. I would say more later books than the first one. I do still feel that way. I am feeling a little bit more of a difference. I would say that this feels slightly more refined. This author just really has a way with words, but I do still love the City of Brass series and do still feel those similarities, particularly the way the authors handle political machinations and character interaction scheming. And I don't mean scheming in necessarily a bad way, just how much thought goes into all of their actions and everything. I felt that and loved that about the City of Brass series, and I definitely feel that here too. And I think that's a large reason of why I'm loving this book so much. This author is definitely way smarter than I am. So I'm trying to write and everything, and I'm loving the process, but I definitely need some more practice, I guess, if I ever have hopes of reaching these kind of levels. It's just so good. And another thing is I feel like this author does a really great job at characterization, not just in our main character and her development and stuff, but just the author is able to make every character feel so distinctly unique. They're just really their own person, I guess. And yeah, so in this section that I just read, there was a plot twist. Well, there was an event. I wouldn't necessarily call it a plot twist, but it took me by surprise. So it was a twist for me. I was so shocked, and I don't want to do spoilers on this book at all. I want everybody to read this book if you like high fantasy stuff. Is it high fantasy? But if you just, like fantasy, I want you to read this. And the only thing that I would say that I wish I had different or whatever in this book is, so we're mainly following Ren, and we get some POVs of other characters and follow them and stuff. And I love the characters, whether we see them from Ren's perspective or from the little bits that we get of them. But I think, this book is already really long, but I think that I would like to see more time in other characters' perspectives, not to avoid Ren, just I want to get to know everybody, so yeah, I guess that's my only complaint, is I wish that I had more time and in general in the world and everything, and got to spend more time with other characters besides our main character, or in addition to our main character. But yeah, so that's it for now, I guess, and I will check in when I'm done. Bye. I finished The Mask of Mirrors, and oh my god, I still love it so much. This is just an amazing book. There's something that happened at the end So like in general, just I love the whole story, but also like specifically one little thing that happened at the end of the book that just left me like, am I supposed to know what's going on? No, I don't think so. This is something we're gonna figure out later. And so like immediately I am just so excited to pick up the next one, but I still have other books that I need to read for Battle of the Booktubers, so I can't do it yet and it's killing me. Yeah, so it's a shame that Danny is not participating as one of the contestants in this competition, because this, I think, is actually a new favorite book of mine. I think I've already gone over really everything that I love about this book, you know, like the character development and the world building and the magic. Have I gone into the magic? Just like there's tarot reading and like the astrology and numinatria, and what I think is so cool about it is there's this like fine line balancing act of like, is it magic or is it just like part of the culture? I mean like, is it like fantasy book magic, you know, like, or is it like just how they view things? And I just find that like the way that the author did that just makes it feel kind of like something that you could feel about like if things were like that in real life, you know? I don't even know if that made sense, but it took a while for us to get to the things that were clear, like, oh yeah, this is like actually fantastical. And so like once we got there, I just feel like there was this satisfaction feeling of being able to like really get to see all of like those magical aspects that like were hinted at for a good chunk of the book and like talked about, but like you didn't really get to see, and so you wondered about, and then once you get to see it, it just adds like, I don't know, it just felt so cool. As for the romance, there's nothing that has happened yet. There's no romance so far, but there are people who like, there's a couple different pairing ideas I have of things I think could happen romantically in future books. I don't know if this is like really a no romance series completely, or if it's just gonna be like a minor subplot or what, but I'm one of those people that if I'm like actually taking my time with a book and like really thinking about things, I love to try and predict whatever I think is going to happen. And so one of the aspects of that is me thinking about like who is going to end up with who if there's romance. So that's just been a lot of fun. As for the Brook and the mystery around him, I went back and forth on like a couple different ideas of who I thought it might be, and I did end up being right with one of my ideas, but it wasn't like my last one, I guess. So I guess I was probably overthinking that a little bit, but it was nice to be able to be like, oh, I got that right, sort of. But yeah, so new favorite, 5 stars, definitely. I had a great time with both of the books that I read from Danny's recommendations, so great job. And then I also had already read Kings of the Wild and knew that I really enjoyed that. I would say not quite as much as the other two, The Tainted Cup and this one, but still a lot. And then the 4th book that she had recommended, I'm drawing a blank on what it was called, but I remember like a cat on the cover. I am interested in reading that. I have it saved on my Libby, but I am a little bit behind on my Battle of the Booktuber reading, so I think we're just gonna stick with the 2 that I chose to do for this vlog, and I'll just eventually get to it and let her know how that goes. But yeah, so Danny, be prepared, because whenever I continue with the series, I will probably also be messaging you about my excitement with those as well. But yeah, so that's it for this vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye!